Hey, this is Eran Stern for artbeats.com, and in this tutorial we'll work on the packshot design for the famous though fictional mineral water drink that goes by the name Splash. In the first part I've showed you how to edit and compose it inside Premiere Pro in order to lay out the narrative story. If you haven't watched it yet, I recommend to do so, cause I'm going to pick up where I left off at the end of it. So in this second tutorial, we'll use After Effects and Mocha to track and match the logo artwork to this battle. We're also going to composite additional elements and add some text, create some fun displacement water effect, and do some roto work as well. We won't do all of it in the same order I just mentioned, but we do have a lot of ground to cover. So let's not waste any more time and get right down to it. I'm going to start right here inside Premiere Pro just to show you where we left off in the previous part. So let's go to the beginning of this timeline, and I'm going to press tilde in order to go to full screen just to show you what is the state of our work currently. Okay, so we are ready to focus on this last shot over here. And this is the place where the battle is actually going down the screen. And we want to attach the logo as promised. But before doing so, I also want to introduce another element. So inside Premiere Pro, I'm going to go to my Artbeats footage folder, double click in order to open it. And then I'm going to drag this clip just above the clip that I already have in the timeline. This is a very nice splash that can help us to sell the effect and also explain why we have this water splash effect over here. So currently this is how it looks. And of course we can marry it together and add some additional elements inside After Effects. When you wish to move elements from Premiere Pro to After Effects, you've got a couple of options. You can use the dynamic link. You can also select the shots in the Premiere Pro timeline, then right-click on them, and then from this menu you can choose to replace it with After Effects composition. However, I want to keep my timeline intact, so I have this open gap here, which I'm going to eventually render from After Effects the clip and place it over here. So just in order for me to get the most flexible way if the client will change his mind, I'm going to choose another option. And this is just a simple copy and paste between those two software. In order to achieve that, you must make sure that you are working with the same version. So if you're working with CS6, both After Effects and Premiere should be CS6. I'm working with Creative Cloud and I've got After Effects already running in the background. So I'm going to select these shots and then go to the edit menu and choose copy. Then I'm going to switch to After Effects. And before using the paste command, I need to create a composition which will be the same dimensions as the Premiere Pro project. Now I know what it is, so I'm going to press on the create new composition in After Effects over here. And from the preset pull-down menu, I'm going to choose the HD 1080-24. Then I can name it. So let's call this one Splash Water and press OK. The duration doesn't really matter because when I'm going to go to the edit menu and choose paste, After Effects will set the duration and will even respect the same time code as the Premiere Pro timeline. So if we are going to narrow our zoom here, we can see that indeed we have those two shots waiting for us. Now I don't need all this extra space over here, so I'm just going to pull my beginning of the work area and then right click on it and choose Trim Comp to Work Area. Now there is some kind of a gotcha over here because you see that the time code is starting at 13 seconds and 1 frame. You can still work like this and it will correspond with the Premiere Pro timeline. If you want to change it, you can go to the composition menu and choose composition settings and basically start your framing from zero. So it's up to you. I'm going to do this just so it will be a little bit easier for me to work inside After Effects. I'm also going to hide the parent column for now. We don't really need to use it. And let's just verify that we have the exact shot. So I'm just going to turn off the eyeball for this one. This is our battle. And of course, on top of it, we have our splash. Now it's going to be a good time to save your progress. So I'm going to hit Command S, Control S on the PC, and then navigate to the folder which I have the project, and then name my project Splash Bottle and say OK. Okay, I also wish to see the blending mode. I will change the upper layer here to multiply, and this will of course multiply the pixels over here, but I want to treat the alpha channel and also maybe control the brightness, as well as create some kind of a nice iris circular wipe in order to reveal this splash. So the first thing that I'm going to do is go to the channel category over here, and then I'm going to choose the set channel effect and apply it to this layer. I want to create a semi-transparent pixel, so in order to do so, I'm going to set the alpha channel to use the luminance of this clip. And this will create transparency for the splash video, just to show it to you. This is how it looks. And when combining both of them together, I think it makes the water a little bit more clear and pure. However, I do want to maybe reveal it in an interesting fashion. And also, I may want to change the luminosity of the whole shot. Let's start with the reveal. Since we are working with effects, we can't really use the ellipse tool mask in order to reveal it. Because if I'm going to try to mask this, it won't work due to After Effects render order. So instead of doing it using mask and instead of pre-composing the shot, I'm going to add another effect. The effect is the circle effect, of course, and I'm just going to place it under the set channel effect. Let's also close the set channels. Now I can change the blending mode of this effect instead of none to use the stencil alpha mode. And this will allow me to use this radius in conjunction with the feather values over here in order to reveal this clip. So let's just begin from this point, exactly over here, and I'm going to set the radius to a negative value, something which will hide it completely from screen, and then create a keyframe for this value. Then let's move maybe 20 frames and change it so we will see the entire splash on screen. You may need to modify this number to a huge value, something like this. I'm also going to press U and just drag this keyframe so the transition will be nice and smooth. I'm also going to change the feather radius just a touch in order to introduce a little bit more softness to the screen. And I think this works quite nice. However, we do see a change in the gamma between those two shots. We can easily fix it by applying the levels effect. So once again, from the index search, I'm going to type level or levels, and then let's use the gamma here, just a touch in order to basically match the luminosity or the gamma curve. Now I do like the fact that at the end it will colorize it a little bit. So I may want to create a keyframe for the entire histogram over here, and then move forward, let's say to 75 frames, and basically reset the gamma just a touch, maybe almost to the place that it were at the beginning, somewhere around 112 looks nice. Okay, let's just verify it by creating a quick run preview, see how this works. Okay, and we've got it. So we've got the basic stuff. Now let's add some titles, and then we will track the logo art on top of the battle. So let's type our first title. I'm going to double click on my type tool in order to introduce a new text in the middle of the screen. And then I'm going to type my first title, which is Take It for a Spin. Let's double click on this line of text and choose the appropriate font. I'm going to use this free font called U.0, something like that. And I'm also going to change the size to maybe 110. Let's choose the extra bold weight for it. And also let's move our cursor so we can see the button over here. And I'm also going to alt click on this button in order to show us the title safe action area. Okay, we can sample one of these blue colors over here. And then let's move this title to somewhere around here. I may want to sample maybe a little bit of a darker tint over there. So let's just search for this one. I think this will work. And I'm also going to make sure that the button is not touching the title. Okay, this looks good. Now let's add a second title. So I'm going to select it in the timeline and duplicate my first title. Then let's move this one to maybe somewhere around here. Once again, double click in order to edit the text. And this one will say, water go round. Very clever copywriting, I know. Okay, this title is actually going to be behind the bottle. So I'm just going to place it maybe somewhere over here. So I want the bottle to hide it for a couple of seconds and then we will be able to read it. So maybe something like this will work nicely. Now we can hide the title safe action area. And let's give those titles a little bit of a 3D faux look. So select one of them. Let's start with the first one. Go to the layer menu and from the layer styles, let's choose bevel and emboss. Let's open up these settings and let's change the shadow color over here to a dark tint of blue. And also let's set the soften here to a higher value around maybe 5.7. This looks kind of nice. Now, of course, we can copy this layer style from this text to the other one. And I think it looks quite nice. I'm going to zoom in just in order to verify it in both cases. Okay, I'm happy from it. Now we can move forward. I want to animate both of these titles to appear on the screen. Let's start from the first one. I'm just going to switch the order here. So this will be our first title. And I think that I want to start it from this point where the bottle is hitting the ground. So I'm just going to nudge it in the timeline. And then from the animate menu, I'm going to add the opacity animator, reset it to 0, open up the range selector, create a keyframe for the start, and then let's move forward maybe 10 frames and few more, so maybe 15, and bring it all the way to reveal itself. I'm also going to press F9 to easy ease this animation. So this will be a very simple type on effect. Then let's do something a little bit different for the second one. And I want the second one to be visible just after the first one will type itself. So somewhere over here. Then I'm going to open it up. Go once again to the animate menu, select scale this time, and then I'm going to dismiss the connection between the X and Y and reset the X to 0. Now I'm going to open it up, and when I'm going to play with the start value, it will give us a little bit of a different effect. So let's do the same thing. Let's create a keyframe for the start, then move maybe 15 frames ahead, and set it all the way to 100, press F9, and let's just quickly see what we have here. Excellent, we are in good shape. Now we need to make the bottle to appear on top of this title. In order to do so, let's select the bottle layer, press Command D, Control D on the PC in order to duplicate another instance. And then let's just take the part that we need. So I'm going to trim the in and the out using Option, or Alt and closing and opening brackets. I'm also going to name this one matte and then place it above our titles. I'm going to do it fairly quickly using the rotobrush tool. So double click in order to open it in the layer view. Let's go to the beginning by pressing I, and then let's select the rotobrush and just tell After Effects what we want to keep and what will be the background. So maybe something like this. I'm going to expand the span area. This is the area where the effect will work, and close it from over here. And then I'm going to press 0 and let After Effects think about it. And it will do it very quickly and quite automatically because this is a high contrast clip. So you should get very good results. Also, the quality is very good here. So the tool will work with no problem. Okay, so now we have a nice isolation. We can close the layer view and check it over here. We also may want to change the behavior of the rotobrush matte. Let's introduce a little bit more of feathering. And also I'm going to take the reduced chatter to its maximum of 100%, just in order to avoid any flickering when the bottle is on top of this one. Now we do need to change the order of the layers here, so I'm going to drag the splash layer and place it above everything. This way we don't have any color shifting. I'm also going to scrub the timeline just to verify that indeed it's working as expected, and I think that we are good to go. Now it's time to attach the logo to the bottle. Now, before doing so, I'm just going to go to the project panel and double click in order to import my logo art. So I'm going to the project, and this time I'm going to use this version. And this version is the same logo. I'm just going to open it so you will see it, but it is vertically aligned. So this will help us in order to match it better to the bottle. And of course, I'm going to drag it and place it on top of the other layers. I'm also going to press Command 6 and Command 7 in order to hide the character and paragraph panels, so we'll have more real estate over here. And I'm going to select the lower clip, which is the battle clip, the original battle, and then go to the animation menu, and from here choose this command, track in Mocha AE. Mocha AE, in case you don't know, is a planar tracker software which is bundled for free with every copy of After Effects since version CS4. It will show you this new project dialog. You can press OK, and we are over here. So here inside Mocha, I'm going to quickly draw my X spline over here. So just place a couple of points, anchor points over here, maybe over here and over there, and right click in order to close this shape. So just something that will encompass all the bottle. Now at this stage, you can press the track forward button. This is what I'm going to do. And I'm also going to track backwards after this track will done. So instead of you watching it happening, I'm just going to skip ahead to the time where the tracking is completed. So this is how it looks after the tracking has been finished. And now we have a shape that basically tracks this bottle, although it leaves the screen. And do note that Mocha only took the part of the clip that we chose to use when we export it from After Effects over here. Now let's select this layer and choose Export Tracking Data. In this case, I'm going to choose the second option, which is After Effects corner pin with support to motion blur. This is very important. And I'm going to copy the result to the clipboard. Now we can switch back to After Effects. And then in After Effects, let's make sure that we are on the same frame, which is the first frame of the composition. Select our splash logo, and then go to the Edit menu and choose Paste. I'm going to scrub the timeline to see what happens. And it's a little bit hard to see, so let's press Command Shift H, Control Shift H on the PC. in order to hide After Effects layers controls. I'm also going to need to take this splash logo and place it above the matte, so we will be able to see the actual result. Now, if I'm going to press U, you can see that indeed we have the corner pin effect with a lot of keyframes that came automatically from the track that we did in Mocha. However, the result is a little bit twisted, and this is thanks to the scaling information, of course. So we need to fix it somehow. The best way that I found in order to do so, instead of messing with those keyframes for the actual position, scale, and rotation of the layer itself, is to actually add another effect before the corner pin will take place. So I'm going to close the triangle over here, and let's go to the effects and presets and search for the effect that goes by the name of transform. I'm going to drag it and make sure that it will land before the corner pin effect. This way, we can play with these properties before we are applying the corner pin distortion. In order to show you how it works, I'm going to dismiss the uniform scale, and let's just play first with the width. I'm just going to drag it until I see that the logo comes back to more or less its initial dimensions, so maybe around 570%. And I'm also going to play with the scale height as well to maybe around 114. This looks kind of nice. You can scrub it just to verify that the tracking indeed works, and I think it does. But I do wish to make it more believable in terms of how it will appear on this battle. And for this, we need another displacement effect. We actually want to distort the logo around this point, something which will give it some kind of a bulge effect. So why not use the bulge effect? This is what I'm asking. And the answer is yes, let's use it. So drag it under the corner pin this time. And let's make some room by closing the things that we already done with. And then once again, you need to eyeball this bulge effect in order to get the correct amount of distortion. So I'm going to start with the horizontal radius, maybe around 110, 113. And then I'm going to compensate with the vertical radius. And this one wants to be a little bit more pronounced. So I'm just going to play with it until I feel that it is looking quite nicely. Maybe around 320. Now, the bulge height effect is a little bit too intense. So you can reduce it. This is the overall effect to say around 0.6. So this is the before and this is after. It is a 2D effect, but it will help to sell the illusion that this tag is actually warping around the diameter, around the radius of the battle. But we do want to give it a little bit more of a touch, maybe distort it even further, and this can be achieved using the famous displacement map effect. So let's grab the displacement map effect. Make sure to define the original battle layer as the displacement source. And I'm also going to reduce the maximum horizontal and maximum vertical displacement to maybe 1, just a touch. This is all we need over here. Let's zoom in and see it a little bit more closer. And this looks quite convincing. However, the lighting doesn't really work for me. So in order to fix that, I'm going to use the CC light sweep effect. I'm going to place it over here, and then let's zoom out once again. And I'm going to press on the center of this one and maybe place it just above the A over here. And this, of course, adds a touch of light that should exist on top of this tag. So this is before and after. Now, of course, you can continue to modify it, but I think that we have a decent, if not very convincing result. Okay, so let's go to the beginning. And the only thing that we want to add before warping it up is some kind of a water displacement to everything. In order to do so, I'm going to create a new adjustment layer. And I'm going to name it water displacement. Now, the best water displacement effect that I know inside After Effects is under Effect, Simulation, Caustics. I've used it before many times and it is suitable here as well. We don't need anything from the bottom and from the sky, so I'm just going to close it. And for the water surface, we actually want to tell it to use the upper video, which is the water splash. Now let's move to the middle over here to see what we are getting. And we do need to work on the wave height and maybe on the lighting as well. Let's start with a very low number of 0.01 just to see what it does. We do get also a tint from this surface color, so we can reduce the opacity to 0. And also to bring back the contrast, let's open up the lighting and change it from distance source to point source. Okay, now we can see what it does to all the other layers that are underneath it. Remember, this is an adjustment layer. So this works beautifully. However, we do want to keyframe its appearance. So let's say that it will not be visible until the end. So maybe around here, when the battle is moving to the top of the screen, we will create a keyframe for the wave height. And then let's move maybe 20 frames ahead and reset it to 0. So by the end of this, we will not have any displacement for the letters. We will be able to read it and everybody will be happy and can drink this splashing water. In any given time, you can return to the logo, go maybe to the transform. If you see that you want to change the position of the layer, you can still do it using these transform controls. Remember that this is happening before the corner pin distortion. So if you do want to move it just a touch, remember that you can do it very easily using these controls. And this is exactly what I'm going to do, just in order to make it appear in the appropriate place. And I think that's it. Now let's make sure that we are enabling motion blur for the splash logo and also for the text layer as well, and also for the master switch in the composition over here. And let's create a run preview to check the final outcome. Very splashy and looks quite brilliant. Everything is working as I expected. So we have our final stage, which is to render this as a file and import it back to Premiere and then see the whole spot comes together. So because I have a run preview present over here, the render will be quite fast. Let's make sure the composition is still selected, then go to the composition menu, add it to the render queue. For this, I'm going to choose a different codec. So let's go with Apple ProRes, press OK. We don't have any sound actually over here, so we can turn the audio off. And let's define where the file will be saved to. So once again, go to our project and let's select it over here, say save and press render. And as promised, this is a very quick procedure. The render is done. We can return to Premiere Pro and then let's double click in an empty gray area over here. Make sure to open up the project folder and import our resolution from After Effects. And I'm going to place it above the other layers, meaning that the two color adjustment layers that we've created, the color matte and the Lumetri lookup table that we used in the previous part, are still going to affect it as well. Okay, let's go to the beginning, move to full cinema mode in Premiere by pressing on Ctrl and tilde and watch the final outcome, this time with the other shots and of course with the accompanied sound. And so this is how you can use stock footage from Outwits.com to build a fresh and a personal commercial done inside Premiere Pro, After Effects, and of course some help from Mocha AE. I hope this was helpful for you and you will be able to utilize these techniques in your own workflow. Until next time we'll meet, this is Eran Stern for artbeats.com, reminding you not to forget to drink fresh spinning water every day.